My name is Valerie. I'm 35 and I live in a manicured cul-de-sac in Santa Clarita, California, where the streets are lined with tidy lawns and the air hums with the quiet rhythm of suburban life. I'm the creative director for an interior design firm, a job that lets me chase my passion for aesthetics, while working from home in yoga pants and oversized sweaters. My husband Marcus is 37, a civil engineer who designs bridges and roads with the same precision he brings to our life, double-checking the smart home security system before bed, even though we've never had so much as a porch pirate. To our neighbors, we're the perfect couple. Two kids, Ava and Ethan, a craftsman-style home with a rose garden, and Friday nights filled with laughter at friends' houses. But perfection is a facade, and one reckless moment at a party showed me how fragile it all was. It was a Friday night at my best friend Rachel's house, a PR specialist whose gatherings are equal parts charm and chaos. Her Valencia home was aglow with string lights, indie, folk, music, drifting from Bluetooth speakers and the clink of wine glasses. As our usual crowd parents from the kids' school, a few work friends traded stories and inside jokes. Rachel, always the spark, had a knack for keeping things lively, and that night was no different. The wine flowed, the laughter grew bolder, and the conversation turned to family dynamics. Rachel, a little tipsy, raised her glass and grinned at me. "Valerie's the CEO of her household," she declared, her voice carrying over the room. "Marcus probably needs her permission to pick out his socks." The room erupted in laughter. I should have let it slide, but the wine and the energy pulled me in. "Him doing laundry," I chimed in, smirking. "He probably doesn't even know how many cycles our washing machine has." It was like tossing fuel on a fire. Others piled on, joking about Marcus forgetting trash day, how I booked the kids' haircuts, how I was the queen of our home. Marcus sat on the couch, offering a tight smile, and I assumed he was playing along like always. He never complained about my role as the decision-maker, always saying, "You're great at managing things, Val. I trust you." It felt like our dynamic, me leading, him supporting, was a given. But I was wrong. Everyone was laughing except Marcus. His eyes, usually warm and steady, were blank, fixed on the floor. Only later did I see what I'd missed, a flicker of hurt, deep and raw, that I'd never noticed before. At the time, I ignored it, caught up in the moment, the wine, the applause of our friends. That was my first mistake. The next morning, sunlight poured through our bedroom curtains, but it couldn't cut through the tension clogging the air. Marcus was up first, as always, brewing coffee and setting out my favorite sourdough toast with avocado. But instead of joining me at the kitchen island, he sat at his desk in the living room, opening his laptop without a word. The silence wasn't angry, it was heavy, deliberate, like a wall I didn't know how to climb. I shuffled downstairs, my hair a mess, eyes gritty from a restless night, and tried to lighten the mood. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. "I know I went a little overboard last night. I'm sorry, Marcus." He didn't respond. Just the soft tap of his keyboard, each keystroke louder than my quickening heartbeat. I busied myself opening the fridge, pouring water, sitting at the dining table, anything to avoid the void between us. "Are you mad at me?" I asked, my voice small. He looked up, his brown eyes calm but cold. "No, I'm not mad. I'm just thinking about what I pressed, trying to keep my tone gentle, about why you thought it was funny to tear me down in front of our friends." His words hit like a slap. I'd braced for an argument, but this was worse. Kaisei Marcus, Marcus, it was a joke, I said, my voice faltering. "Everyone knows how you really are." He stood, taking a slow sip of coffee, his gaze piercing. "Not everyone needs to be reminded they're not enough, especially by the woman they love." For the first time in our marriage, I was speechless, not because I lacked an excuse, but because I knew he was right. I'd taken a moment, meant for connection, and turned it into a stage, casting Marcus as the punchline. And now, the man who'd always been my rock was looking at me like I'd chipped away at him one joke too many. The days that followed were shrouded in silence, not the kind you can ignore, but the kind that seeps into every corner, chilling the air. Marcus went through the motions, leaving for work at 7 a.m., helping with Ava's homework, driving Ethan to soccer, but the warmth was gone. No post-dinner hugs, no shared laughs over the office reruns, no lingering glances. He was present, but absent, and I felt something vital slipping from my grasp. Work offered no refuge. My firm was pitching a major contract to redesign a boutique hotel chain, a career-defining project that demanded flawless mood boards and client schmoozing. My boss Elena was relentless, piling on deadlines while hinting that my promotion to partner hinged on this win. I was drowning in fabric, swatches, and 3D renderings, but my focus was shot. I snapped at my assistant Priya for a mislabeled file, and she took it quietly, though her tight smile told me I'd crossed a line. "You okay, Val?" she asked later, her voice soft. I brushed it off, but her concern only deepened my shame. I confided in Rachel over coffee at a Valencia cafe, hoping for her usual pep talk. "It was just a dumb joke," I said, stirring my latte. "He's overreacting, right?" Rachel, usually quick with a quip, set down her mug and sighed. "Val, you didn't just tease him. You made him the butt of a room full of jokes. And you led the charge. If Marcus is shutting down, it's not about one night, it's about what that night said, about how you see him." Her words cut deep. I'd spent years framing myself as the CEO of our household, priding myself on my control, my vision. But I hadn't seen what it cost Marcus, how my need to lead had diminished him, made him feel like a sidekick in his own life, desperate to fix things. I tried small gestures. I left notes on the counter. "You're the best dad, Marcus. I'm sorry." I cooked his favorite lasagna, lit candles, suggested movie nights. He'd nod, eat, thank me politely, but the distance remained. One evening I found him standing shirtless in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at his reflection. Marcus had never cared about his looks. He was fit, but unpretentious, with a dad bod he'd always laughed off. Thinking about the gym, I teased, hoping to spark a smile. Maybe he said, his voice clipped, shutting the door. The rejection stung, but worse was the realization. Had my words at the party awakened insecurities I'd never noticed? Was he looking at himself, wondering if he was enough for me? I started therapy with Dr. Lynn, a counselor in Santa Clarita, who specialized in relationships. It was humbling, peeling back layers of pride and control. "Why do you think you needed to make Marcus the punchline?" Dr. Lynn asked. I didn't have an answer, not at first. But slowly I saw it. I'd been so focused on being the strong one, the planner, the visionary, that I'd treated Marcus's quiet support as weakness, not strength. At work, the hotel project hit a snag when a client demanded a complete redesign 2 weeks before the pitch. Elena was furious, and I spent nights revising plans, leaning on Priya's knack for color palettes to save the day. We pulled it off, and Elena gave me a rare, "Well done, Valerie." But the victory felt hollow. No mood board could fix the emptiness at home. One Saturday, I suggested dinner at our favorite Italian spot in Newhall, hoping to reconnect. Marcus agreed, but at the restaurant, surrounded by candlelight and soft jazz, he barely looked at me. I reached for his hand, but he pulled back his eyes on his wineglass. "What are you thinking?" I asked, my voice trembling. He met my gaze, his expression raw. "I'm wondering if I've been living for myself or just for you. Every day feels like a loop. Work, kids, your plans. And when you told our friends I'm not man enough, it made me question if I'm anything more than your shadow." My chest tightened. "Marcus, I didn't mean it like that. I was stupid. I'm sorry." He shook his head, not unkindly. "It's not about the apology, Val. It's about how long I've felt invisible. I've been carrying wounds, my dad calling me weak, people assuming I'm less because I let you lead. And you, the one person I trusted, echoed that." I couldn't speak. His words laid bare the truth. I'd reopened scars I didn't know he carried, all because I'd been too wrapped up in my own narrative to see his. I doubled down on change. I wrote Marcus a letter, not begging for forgiveness, but listing the ways he'd made me feel loved. The way he folded towels with military precision. How he remembered Ava's fear of thunderstorms and stayed up with her. How he'd drive Ethan to practice at dawn so I could sleep. At the end, I wrote, I forgot to tell you I was proud of you. I'm so sorry. He read it, folded it into a drawer, and said nothing. But I kept going therapy every week, notes every morning, conversations where I listened instead of fixed. I invited him to join me at Dr. Lynn's, but he declined, saying I need to figure myself out first. One afternoon, I passed his home office and saw his laptop open. A search was paused. Couples, Thefos Tokos therapist. Orange County. My heart sank. He was seeking help, but not with me. That night, he came home late, mentioning dinner with an old college friend, someone I didn't know. The distance in his voice was a warning. We need to talk, he said, sitting me down. My hands shook as he slid a folder across the coffee table. Separation papers. You have 30 days to decide if you'll sign, he said, his voice steady but heavy. Marcus. I choked out. I thought we were trying. I thought so too, he said. But sometimes effort can't undo the damage. I've been trying to be enough for you, for the kids, for everyone. But I can't keep losing myself in the process. He went upstairs to read to Ava, closing the door softly. I sat by the sink, clutching a cold mug of chamomile tea, memories flooding me. Marcus greeting me at LAX with flowers, tucking a blanket over me during late-night work sessions, soothing Ethan's nightmares after long days on construction sites. I'd had a man like that, steady, unwavering, a quiet oak in a world of flash, and I'd chipped away at him joke by joke until he couldn't stay. I didn't barge into Ava's room that night, though every instinct screamed to plead with him. Instead, I stood outside, listening to his low, soothing voice read The Velveteen Rabbit. I realized something I'd never admitted. Marcus carried wounds from a childhood where his father called him soft for sketching instead of playing sports, from a world that questioned his strength because he let me shine. I was supposed to be his safe place, but I'd echoed those wounds with my careless words. The next morning, I found a note by my coffee. See you at therapy on Monday. My heart lifted, not with hope of reconciliation, but with relief he was willing to try, even if just a step. At Dr. Lynn's, we sat across from each other, strangers sharing a past. I didn't beg or promise. I listened as he spoke of feeling unseen, of needing to reclaim his identity. I'm not asking you to fix me, he said. I'm asking you to see me. I'm trying, I said, tears falling. I'm learning not to save us, but to be better. For Ava, for Ethan, for myself. And for you, even if we're apart. He nodded, his eyes softer, present. I'm learning too. To forgive not just you, but myself for staying quiet too long. We didn't hug or kiss. There was no movie moment resolution. But as we left the session, walking to our cars in silence, I felt a shift, not a fix, but a crack letting light through. Months later, we're still separated, living in the same house for the kids, but with boundaries. I'm in therapy weekly, unlearning my need to control, learning to listen. I volunteer at Ethan's school, helping with art projects, and it grounds me. Rachel noticed the change. You're quieter, she said, over wine one night. But in a good way. Like you're actually here. I didn't feel quiet. I felt like I was waking up. Marcus is healing too, in his own way. He's joined a men's group, talks about his dad's expectations for the first time. We're not fixed, and we may never be. But we're trying not to rebuild what was, but to build something honest, even if it's apart. Valerie and Marcus's story is a mirror for anyone who's ever let careless words wound the person they love. In a world that celebrates control and perfection, it's easy to overlook the quiet strength of a partner who supports without fanfare. Valerie's mistake wasn't one joke. It was years of framing Marcus as less, diminishing his role to elevate her own. She thought his love was unshakable, but even the strongest hearts break when they're made to feel small. The lesson is stark: love thrives on respect, not roles. If you're with someone who shows up, who carries the unseen weight, who loves you through the chaos, don't let pride or distraction turn that into a punchline. Ask yourself, do my words lift them up or chip away at them? Do I see their strength, or do I take it for granted? Because once the silence settles, no apology can undo the damage of 1,000 small cuts. Are you honoring the love in front of you, or are you letting careless moments erode it? Don't wait until the papers are signed to see what you could have saved.